Hello, lovely listeners. You are in for an absolute treat today. I'm joined by Lesley and Anna, who are here sharing about their experience in the Become a Time Hacker Coach program. And I think today's going to be really interesting because Lesley and Anna have actually really diverse and different backgrounds and different reasons for joining. And so I'm really excited for you to see side by side what got them both here, what they created through the program and what's changed for them. So Lesley, Anna, hi, welcome.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello, hello. I'd love to start, Lesley, you're showing up on my screen now. So I'd love to start, if you're open to telling the listeners what made you A, decide to become a time hacker and B, decide to become a time hacker coach, or how connected those decisions were.
So I started coaching, and in my past, I worked in film production. So I had a very freelance schedule. So I had time off and I worked hard. And that's how I like to work. I like to work really hard and then have time off. But what happened when I started my coaching business, I was like, I got to get it going. And so I just need to work all the time. So I would like sit at my desk and work all the time. And I'm like, wait a second. That's not how I want my life to be. And if I'm creating a life here, I want something that's going to balance my time off and my work time and get everything done. And I'm very efficient. Efficiency is one of my things. So it's like, okay, I want to be more efficient. I want to figure out how to make it so that I can live the life that I want and help people along the way and build my coaching business. So time hackers was always something in the back of my head. And I'm like, all right. And last year I was like, all right, let me do it. So I started time hacking. And I really love the community. It's just, on the Tuesday calls, the community is so small that you get a chance to get coached every time. And the coaches are so supportive, and even listening to other people getting coached is just also relevant, and just really is a great community. So when the chance to become a time hacker coach came up, I was like, oh yeah. And since I've taken the program, and this is too much, should I stop?
No, we love it. Go.
Since I've taken the program, it's like not only has it helped me reinforce the time hacker principles and learn more about them and really become more involved and understand them better, but it also has given me much more information about coaching and made me a better coach. And these peer coachings have been great. And seeing how other people coach and do things, it's just been eye-opening and a wonderful experience.
Thank you so much, Lesley. And I think it's such a big point that you make that so often when we come to doing our own project or launching our own business, we kind of forget everything that we know about ourselves and buy more into this narrative of like working all the hours is how you create success. So that's definitely relatable personally. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for sharing all of it. Thank you for being here.
Glad to
Amazing.
be here.
Yes. Anna, what would you say to those questions if you remember them, or whatever you feel like saying, to be honest, if you just inspired?
Well, I joined Time Hackers over 2 years ago. And actually, the reason was similar. I was working all the time, but not even in front of my laptop, mainly in my head. So, I started traveling 5 years ago almost. And I started freelancing in the meantime. And I was like, oh, this is going to be freedom. But it's not unless you work with your thoughts, I realized. So I was like, on tours, hiking volcanoes. Oh my God, there was one time I hiked a volcano with some girls and we're all like in this hustle mindset. So we're working in the car before the hike because then we're gonna have no connection. It was really, really stressful. So we're trying to have adventures, relaxing, but we're not able to. And then we were work, we're like, oh, we're missing out on all the fun things we could do. And that's why I joined.
Oh, yeah.
Um, so now I feel like I've almost mastered, like, of course, sometimes I still worry, but I've mastered working focused and then enjoying the time off. And it really has impacted my whole life. So that's why I was like, okay, I want to join the program. Okay, one, because it had a big impact on me, and I wanted to understand like deeper how it works so I could coach myself better. But then also noticed people I work with in marketing, they say they're gonna do stuff, but they don't do them. And it's not about marketing. It's about their mind stopping them. Like they don't want to do selfies. They don't want to speak to the camera. And I was thinking, okay, I can consult much better if I'm able to do some coaching there as well.
Yes, yes.
That
I
was my thinking.
Yes, thank you for sharing. I remember reading your application. Was it in the application or was it on a call where you said, I'm not sure that I want to coach, so I'm not sure if this is for me. And I love how you're willing to make the decision to get in the program because of your own experience that you created through Time Hackers. And by doing it, you've seen, it's kind of like, what we always speak about, you learn by doing, and by doing it, you've seen how it's so applicable. I mean, I think even it's funny, a friend of mine does sales coaching and he goes into organizations and helps the sales team, and they really want the sales tools. And he said to me, it's all about time. That's the number one thing. Like, it's everything that we speak about in this room. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing, both of you. I would love to hear if there was anything that surprised you about the program. Surprised you in any way? Yeah.
But I have a big thing. The big surprise was that I realized, oh, maybe I want to just coach.
Wow.
And I think I was hiding it. Like, I think a part of me wanted to do it, was like, oh, I'm not a coach. Who am I to do this? Like, this was the main theme for me during the program. I think I'm the only non-coach, whatever story I created there. And then I started doing it, and I'm like, I love this. And I think that's the most important thing. Like, I can always, improve, feel more confident. So now I even got my first client throughout the program.
Wow, so fun. Yeah, it's so interesting that, again, the narrative that we have of like the right way to do things and the boxes we have to tick. And we're even having this now with organizations when they're like, are you ICF accredited? And I'm like, no, but we have excellent coaches. Like, we will give you coaching sessions, you will experience it. And they always come back and say, wow, that's not like any of the coaching we ever had. And that's almost because we're not following that rule book and we're really caring about our clients' results. So I love that you have given yourself permission to like follow your desire, even though you didn't know where it would necessarily end up, and that you've already created your first client. How fun is that?
Yeah, it's fun.
Yay. Amazing. Celebrating that. Lesley, what about you? Is there anything that
I think it's the community. It's not that it surprised me, but it is better than I thought it was going to be. And it's just such a great community of coaches and such a great community of people that's been really fun to get to know people, and also to feel more confident about my coaching and to see how everyone's coaching. So it helps to understand that it's so open to how you coach. And the principles that come across are still, everyone coaches in different ways, but they still have those same principles. So it's really been great. In fact, even, through the Time Hacker program, things like resting. Yesterday I had a really busy morning and I did a talk and a workshop and I had lunch, and then I came home and I'm like, I am just so tired. So I took a nap. And it was like, okay. And I was okay with it. It's not, the nap is one thing, but to be okay with it is the other part. And it was just such a fabulous day because of everything that I did, and the nap included, and to be okay with having the nap and not stressing about it.
Absolutely. Like, I'll even share this morning for me. I got back from the US on Sunday. It was an interesting travel experience, let's say. And I come back to my toddler who's like having nightmares in the night. And this morning, he went to nursery and I was like, oh, I'm going to go back to bed, even though I'm traveling again on Friday till next week and going straight into a client next Wednesday. I was like, okay, but remember, this is productive as well. Like, yes, I could go and work on the presentation and this is productive as well. So I love that you shared that. And it points back to Anna's point, right? Like, we're all still learning. And one of the big things that I hope this program has been an example of, as well as Time Hackers, is, I think our perfectionist brain expects us to get to this place where we are essentially robotic and do everything right all the time. And the truth is, it's our humanity. And much like what Lesley shared, that humanity, that's why I would never want to push our coaches to be a certain way, to follow really rigid rules, to do anything like that, because you being you is the best gift to your clients, to the work, to the coaching. So I appreciate you sharing that.
It's interesting too that what was I thinking? It's interesting that shoot, sorry. It was such a good point too. It'll come back to me.
It will come back. Brain's brain. Brain's brain. I was on stage last week and forgot my words. Brains be braining. It's okay. So what I would love to speak to you guys a little bit more about the elements of the program that I think people listening don't even know about. So for example, one of the things that we have you guys do in this program is we love to hire you for a project when you're in the program. So it's optional, but also highly encouraged. And I think that's something that's not really, I would love to know your experience of that. Even like before, were you really aware of it? So maybe, did you know what you did for sure, did not know what the project looked like? And how did that, everything that we do is designed to support you. So I'd love to hear about your experience kind of being not thrown, gently placed in the deep end, let's say, hopefully.
So I remembered my point when you said that during the program, you had a syllabus and you said, okay, this is how it's going to go. And then you're like, okay, now we're changing it. And I like the fact that you did that because it shows you that it's okay to change things and it's okay to make changes along the way. And it's okay to say, okay, I have this set and now I'm doing something a little different. And it could be a little disturbing or unnerving, not disturbing, but unnerving, because you're like, wait a second, how am I going to get all this stuff done? But you just go, it's okay. It's going to get done. It's going to happen. And as far as the videos went, I mean, I've worked a lot on video and I had a lot of fun, and it was nice to get the great feedback and to, do the video and look a little deeper at the subject and really get to know it even more. So it was a way for us to delve deeper into something that we wanted to learn more about, maybe. So it was good.
Yes. Yeah, I even just want to touch on your first point because I think it's also a really big one. So again, it's like we think that we want everything laid out. And one of the things we speak about in Time Hackers is allowing that flexibility of decisions. And for me, looking back at the schedule and thinking, I mean, there are specific reasons. I was like, I want them to be coaching early. I want them to be applying early. I don't want all of it to be at the end. Like, I just remember thinking like, these are the most important things. These are the lessons. But it's getting to know the current cohort, those first 3 sessions, that allows me to then make the decision of what I want it to look like. And it just is, one, it gives everyone in there permission to make changes, but also I think that's my responsibility to creating excellent coaches, is saying, actually, not every cohort is the same. It's not going to look like every time. It's not going to look the same every time. And what did I learn last time that I want to implement this time? So I think it's quite a big point, and I love that you shared your experience through it. Thank you. And yes, the video, I loved Leslie's video. If you sign up for our one-to-one coaching package, you will see the micro videos that the current cohort created, talking through everything from what is coaching versus therapy, to what is time hacking, and all these like amazing, I think there's 16 micro videos. So I love that you guys have got something in the Time Hacker program. So whether you choose to work with us or not, you've left your mark here. So I love that. Thanks, Lesley. Hannah, what would you say?
Well, I wanted to say something about the syllabus as well.
Okay.
I loved it because it gave me permission to not be like the perfect student. I noticed that I felt guilt for not being there at like every call, and I had this thought of being a bit behind with the material. And this time I really showed up as this like, okay, I'm gonna practice. I'll do what I can. I don't know, I felt way more relaxed in this program than anything else. And I have the certainty that I'll get things done. I don't, my brain is like, but when? We're behind, we're late. I'm like, we will get this done no matter what.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think this flexibility just gave me that permission. And then regarding the video, I agree that I understood the concept much, much deeper. And it was the evidence to me that teaching or explaining something to someone else allows you to understand it better. And I think in all this fluidity of the program, it was nice to have a little challenge, like a task to do within a certain time.
Yes.
So that gave me a little bit of fire as well. I don't know. I really enjoyed that as well, even though I was really nervous about the live
Yes.
video. Oh my God.
Everyone knows that the actual video was recorded via Zoom, but the initial rounds of feedback and sharing and learning was done inside the Facebook community where everyone went live and I was giving feedback so everyone could learn from each other's feedback. And that is more nerve-wracking, and that is kind of the fun part, because it's like, oh, if it's harder here, it's only going to get easier. And again, I think by that point we'd established like safety in the community and trust in the community, and like what Lesley was saying, like it was like, you know, it felt very like in service of each other rather than competitive or anything like that. Yeah.
I have a comment about that. You know, it was the when we evaluate our stuff, which is something you learn in coaching, you know, you do it, you evaluate it, la la la. But it was really great to have the feedback on the coaching and from our peers, because it was a way to be neutral, to look at the feedback as neutral instead of taking it personally, because it was out of service and it was out of, hey, we're working together here, and hey, we're learning together and we're all together in this. So instead of feeling like, oh my gosh, I didn't do it right and I'm just a failure, you could just go, wait a second, I'm going to get feedback on this and it's going to be better. So for me, that really helped me with my whole evaluating and looking at things more neutrally, and to take feedback from people and not, you know, I've been working on this for a while, but it's one of those things where it really cemented it for me. So it was great for that too.
Yes, and I even think probably so it's receiving it, but also when you are giving feedback to other people and you know that you still think they're an excellent coach and you have things, you know, what do we call it, opportunities for expansion, and you know, lots of things that you admire, then you get into the practice of giving evaluation and it not meaning anything negative about the person. So it's both ways.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most powerful parts of this program is the evaluation of each other, of ourselves, of coaching. I think it's a total time hack in how to learn to be excellent.
Yeah, and seeing how other people coach, it just gives you that opportunity to go, oh, I like that. I can take that from their coaching. Or I'm like, oh, that's an interesting way of doing it, or that's an interesting question. And you know, even when we did, everybody was coaching together, it was like there were times I'm like, oh, I would have asked this question instead. But where they went was also very interesting. So that was also great for realizing how open and how diverse different coaches are. So
Yes, and how there really is not one right way to coach. And I think the problem with many traditional certifications is they are teaching the right way to coach, and then it makes coaches terrified, so that when they're on the call, the whole time in their brain they're thinking, I'm doing it wrong, I'm doing it wrong, I'm doing it wrong. Instead of like, what if there's multiple ways that it's right, and it's not actually about following a framework perfectly or saying the right thing or picking the right question, but it's about, you know, actually listening to the person, caring about the person, creating safety for yourself and the person, and all those things we teach in the program. Thanks, Lesley. Anna, any thoughts on the coaching?
Regarding this last point, actually, I was thinking that's something I was struggling with at the beginning. I was thinking, oh, there's the right question to ask. And then I just became very unnatural and analytical and just overthinking. So, yeah, with practice, I realized the best thing I can do for myself and the client is to be present and listen. And the right questions will come out of curiosity.
Yes. Yeah, it's interesting. So you guys had the syllabus change around, but the first round didn't even get a syllabus. I was just like making it as I went. I was really thinking like, what, you know, what are the most important things, and then really doing the dance with them. And also the same with the coaching. So a big theme of the first cohort was like wanting that structure. And I'm imagining, Anna, that version of you that's nervous, being like, just tell me what to say and I'll say it. We really want it. But I think excellent coaching requires those skills and that self-trust and that safety and all of those things that aren't required when someone tells you, you know, these are the 3 things to ask. This is the exact framework. This is exactly how you use it. So it can feel more challenging at first. And I'd love to hear you both share a little bit about what you think it created in terms of coaching skill and ability.
Okay, I recently listened to another what was it? A podcast interview actually here in Time Hackers. And someone mentioned they felt like they were thrown out in the ocean and they had to find their way out, but that's how they learn how to swim. And I think that represented really well my experience. And actually I was thinking like we're not gonna be told like how to do this. I have no idea. I've never well, I was telling myself I've never coached, and I realized I probably unintentionally coached some friends. Um, uh, and then at some point it just clicked. But what made it happen for me was the belief that I'm an excellent coach without without proving it to myself with my actions, but believing it first. The first day I went through, so what I did was I took the worksheet we have where we write all the elements, the qualities of an excellent coach. And I just started thinking, how am I, if not maybe all of these things, but how am I naturally good at these things? How am I naturally curious?
Mm-hmm.
And I just primed my brain like this right before the coaching call. And it was just completely different. So now I do it before every call.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. I remember when I had a pre-coaching call process as well when I was starting out, and it is about, getting your brain on board. And I do think one of the big themes of this cohort was the challenge to build that, to just step into belief that we're an excellent coach without getting the A+. And we absolutely saw it happen. So it was amazing to see the transformation occur. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was like the second call and it was my birthday in February. And you're like, okay, who's going to coach? And I was one of the people that started coaching. And it was like, I'm like, I don't even know these people. And this is a really interesting experience to have to be sort of thrown in the ocean, like you said. But I also just decided, okay, well, this is my chance to see if I am good at this, or if I just decided I'm just going to be who I am and I'll get feedback or I will feel horrible, one or the other. But I just decided just to be myself, and it worked out pretty well. So it was fun to be thrown in the middle and to just believe. So I think the belief of the excellent coach was a great way to start. And it was very interesting. So very fun.
Yes, yes. Again, I think just so everyone listening, I think being thrown in can sound a bit aggressive. I do feel like we do create there's certain things that need to happen before we decide to do that. And those things happen quite fast. And so I was like, we're ready, let's go. But it's like being thrown in and there's a life jacket. I don't know.
Well, I definitely felt that way, that there was definitely, that I was being supported along the way. Not that, okay, we've driven away the boat, we're throwing you in the water and now you've got to go miles and miles and miles before you get there. But no. So yeah, the support was good.
Yeah.
I could also change it to a swimming pool, maybe not the ocean.
I think it was definitely the ocean. No, I'm just kidding.
Amazing. Hello, listeners. In case you missed it on the last one, we dropped out of nowhere. Technology happens to all of us. And so we wanted to jump back in and continue the conversation. Thanks, Lesley and Anna, for rejoining. Actually, while that was happening, Lesley and I were just chatting about the certification process. So at the end of the certification, there's an exam. I don't even like calling it an exam. It's kind of, well, it is. We'll just keep it simple. But it's some questions to allow people to think back into the work and think back into what they've learned and apply some of what they've learned. And one of the things that we teach is written coaching. And I will be honest, I feel like it's quite light touch teaching. There's a session, and one of the things I just said to Lesley is part of this is for us to learn and part of this is for our people to learn. So Lesley wrote the written coaching question and I had feedback for her, and we went back and forth over email a few times, not just what else could you say, but also why do you think you said it. And it really, I think it's the reminder that the certification exam is not to fail people, and we wouldn't have failed you anyway, but it's really another learning tool for us to see where did we miss, where could we do better. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about the experience and how it was for you.
So yeah, doing the test, I was like, okay, let me get this test done. And I did it. And then I got feedback, I got questions like, hey, go deeper in here and do this and do that. And then I'm like, of course, my first thought was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna fail. And so then I sent more back. I'm like, all right, just calm down. You got this. And so I did that. I sent it back. And then there were a couple more feedbacks when it came to the written coaching. And so, yes, the thought of like, oh my gosh, I'm doing it wrong. And then I'm like, wait a second. So I went back to the session that we had with the Bass C group and listened to the whole written coaching. And I'm like, all right, just remember what you're trying to do here. And I did it again. And then I even asked for feedback. I'm like, just give me feedback. I mean, I don't care if I fail. I just want to know how to do it right. And so the feedback helped. And you gave me feedback a couple of times. And I was like, all right, cool. I think I get it now. And then I sent it off. And then today this morning I had the fact that I passed. I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really interesting and it was a learning experience. And once again, I had to recenter myself and say, wait, this is about learning. This isn't about doing it right or wrong. And it doesn't matter. The important thing is that you learn something here. So that was good because that was part of the whole experience in the certification process.
Exactly. And as you said, like written coaching isn't something you'd done before this program and something you'd offered. So I think that's really valuable as well. And you've made me realize that we can do a better job in the way we speak about the certification process because we're not looking to fail people. Like that's not, I was speaking with someone recently who's got a financial coaching company in Latin America. And she was saying, how do you decide like who to hire? And I was like, no. If we've done our job well, we're going to hire everyone that wants it. Like this isn't like that's on us. That's on our quality of training. And you can see that in Leslie's example is we could have been like, yeah, whatever. She's finished the program, whatever, bye. Yes, pass. But instead, it's like the care to take it as a learning opportunity, not just for Leslie, but I was sharing with Leslie as well, like what she's gifted me with for me to think about for the next cohort in terms of how do we provide that kind of opportunity to get more feedback on written coaching, not just in the certification exam, which obviously works as well, but what would be different if we did that earlier?
So, and it was interesting. That's interesting because I was a co-owner of a coffee shop for a while, and instead of being upset with the employees, which would be very easy to do, because goodness gracious, you're just lazy and incompetent. Instead, I would change my perspective and say, okay, what can I do to teach them better? What did I miss in training? What do I miss in my communication? What do I need to change in my communication to make sure that they learn how to do it? So it's so easy to go, they just didn't try, or they're not trying, but it's better to go around and go, okay, how can I teach them? And what can I learn to move forward in my whole owning of the business and training the next people and making sure that everybody is on the same page. And so it's just a better way of treating your employees. It's a better way of treating everyone in society. So it just brings that up too for me.
Yeah. And I genuinely think if you're offering a training program, you are responsible, like taking responsibility for the outcome of that is going to create a far superior program experience and coaches than being like, well, this, we ticked a box, so we'll move on. Like that's not, if we're saying we're creating excellent coaches, I'm committed to that result. So thanks for sharing, Lesley.
I love that it has changed my relationship with feedback. Now that we talk about it, I realize I was a little bit sad because I didn't get feedback on or nothing to change about, for example, my live video or the exam. It's more like a reflection, I feel like. And I was thinking, wow, this has changed so much. I'm like looking for the feedback. While in the past, I would have thought, I've done perfect. We're safe. My brain wants to be perfect. And yeah, I think now I've been looking for it and I received feedback from coaching, and sometimes, I was told someone told me they didn't like a word I used, and I just noticed how I didn't make it mean anything. I just asked them, okay, what do you want me to use instead? Just being curious and learning. And that has been a huge shift as well. And I do think it's also because everyone does it from a really good place as well.
Yes, absolutely.
And giving
Go on.
And giving the feedback they learn as well. That's what I noticed, because that's what I learned from giving my own feedback.
Yes. I always say like feedback is a gift you give yourself and everyone in the room. And I think so often we're taught like not to, inbuilt people pleasing and what we've been taught. It just makes us want to be quiet. And I think the value is in evaluating, which Aruti spoke about in her micro video. And just so you know, Anna, I spoke with the team, and because not everyone got the opportunity to coach live in front of the group, we are going to offer some additional calls so that we do create the space. So if you did want feedback, we are going to make it happen.
Yes, I'm terrified, but yes, I want
Yeah.
to do it.
Amazing, so cool. So yeah, is there anything before we wrap up that you would want to share about the experience, or you want people, whether they're thinking about coming, or I also think it's interesting to think about people who are thinking about hiring, joining the one-to-one coaching program and working with our coaches, knowing the training that they go through. If there's anything you want to share around the experience, or something that you would want them to consider, or anything, just anything that comes to you.
Well, I haven't done other programs, but this feels like it's really learning by doing. It feels like a constant workshop. Also, because we evaluate in the group, we share, maybe not really feedback in the group, yeah, in the comments sometimes, but it's happening on the calls, and then off the calls, you can use a group to practice. You can even get, practice your written coaching there. Yeah, so I felt like that I got so much value from doing, because with my academic background, it's all about learning and reading and repeating things like a parrot. And this was such a different learning experience for me.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Well, I think it was just the support and the fact that your mission definitely came across, where you're there to train us, to make us better, to help us through, and to help us understand things instead of failing. It's like, here, I'm helping you do this. And it wasn't about, okay, let me get all these people in this program and make all this money, and then who cares if they make it through. It was more like, no, we're making sure that you make it through. We're making sure that you do this right. We're making sure that if you don't get something that we want you to do, we want you to go back and look at it again and help you find that. So I really appreciated that kind of thing. And and it worked well, because I kept changing my mind around it too, going, hey, they want me to succeed. They want me to do this right. She's helping me because she trusts me as a coach, and she just wants me to be better. And so instead of taking it like, oh my gosh, I'm a big failure and I'm never going to get this right, which is an easy place for our brain to take us, because, our brain just loves that. But it felt very supportive from every aspect. And, and one of the fun things too was I was in San Francisco on a house sit for 10 weeks. And I got to connect with one of our coaches, Karen, and it was a blast. We became friends, and it was a great experience to have that also. So every part of it has been a good experience for me.
Oh, thank you both.
I also love okay, we were all there for the same core values, I would say, but we're all ourselves. So after I let go of that thought, I don't belong here, I actually realized people here are so supportive, and anyone can belong. Like, I used to identify myself just as a marketer. And yeah, now it feels like it's really like a group, like a community.
It does.
But you don't have to do things everyone does the same way. I think it's holding both at the same time. Maybe the deeper core values about bringing safety and we're all excellent that are guiding us, but then we do it in different ways.
Yes, absolutely. I think Mary said it in the other interview, like individualism through community. In fact, I'm going to end with the same question that I asked them, which is, what's one word that you would use to describe the experience? And you're welcome to break the rules, but also if you have one word, then great.
I'd say supportive community. I love to break the rules.
Yeah, supportive community. I love
Because
it.
it was supportive and it was a community. So it was, yeah, okay.
I love it. Thank you, Lesley. Anna?
I think I'm gonna rate them too. For me, it's bold action. That's what came up.
Action. I love it. Supportive community, bold action, both total time hacks. Thank you both for being in this program. If you're listening and you end up wanting to get coached or joining our community in any way, then you might be lucky enough to get coached by Lesley and Anna, because I know some people will listen to these podcasts to get to know the coaches too. So that's fun too. Thank you both for being here. Thank you everyone for listening. Thank you for bearing with our tech slip up, and come get coached. Come be a time hacker coach. If this resonated with you, we would love to have you join. Thanks everyone. Bye.